ladies and gentlemen, to this week's episode of Too Legit to Crit, a show about tabletop role-playing games, hosted by some thorough professors of this hobby.
Who? Have we got guest hosts?
I don't know, I was trying to big us up, dude. You know, by the time people realise that we know fuck all, they'll be too far into the episode and it'll still count as a listen. Yeah, see? By the time they realise that we're useless.
No, I'll shut up and try. Let's try that again.
So, my name is John Santana.
And I remain Justin Taylor. That hasn't changed. Still.
You are steadfast as Justin Taylor, and it is a good look on you.
It is. You know, I've had it for a while, and I think I rock it well.
You do. You definitely rock it. If there was anybody in the world I'd peg to be Justin Taylor, it's you, man.
It's this guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually, when I was a kid, I went to school with another Justin Taylor, right?
Sounds like a
cunt. Well, this was the funny bit. They referred to me as Justin, and they started calling him by his middle name.
Really?
Yeah, because they couldn't differentiate between the two of us.
So you just like flat out, oi bruv, change your name.
We just changed his name, yeah. So he became Mark. Because that was his middle name. Oh, one of the teachers even took like a whiteboard marker and drew a circle on the top of his hand. So he was like, "You're Mark."
Now that's borderline abuse.
It was funny.
Oh, I'm not debating that. But
it's private school, so it's a learning situation.
So do you think that somewhere out in the world is a Mark Taylor who's just sat there seething?
Yeah, because now somebody's stolen his name.
Because he had his name taken away from him.
I mean, quite probably. It's entirely possible. Whether he's listening to this or not, I don't know. If you are, let us know.
Mark, if you're there. Mark, if you're there. No, I'm not going to call you Justin. It's going to get too confusing for me. So, what have you been up to?
So I borrowed as we discussed last time, I needed a Dremel to finish off the staff that I was building. So I borrowed one from the person that you suggested I borrow one from. So I've been working on that. So I've now textured the entirety of the staff, and I've started painting it. But it's being a bit of a pain because it's really long, so it doesn't fit in my spray booth. So I've either got to take it outside or spray like little portions at a time and then leave it.
Yeah.
So it's not been fun.
So you've spent the entirety of the week polishing your shaft.
Yes.
Cool.
That is exactly what I've been doing.
I nearly made the joke when you said it was too long. But I thought...
Yeah, but anybody who knows me knows that's not true.
That's what she didn't say.
Hey. Well, what about yourself? What have you been up to?
I have been up to getting this next arc of my homebrew campaign ready. Designing mainly the sort of ground floor of the casino currently.
Yep.
I say designing, I actually found a casino map and went, I don't like that. So I'm redesigning it with a bit more flair. So that's been the bulk of it, but also kind of working on how I'm going to present this to players, because every sort of miniature arc I do, I try and make it a bit of a learning experience for myself.
Yeah.
So I'll try things that I've never tried before, and I will present the players with sort of challenges that they've probably never had to encounter before. Just just to kind of test the waters to see if it works and what sticks and what can I add to my sort of GM style.
Yeah, and also kind of keep things a little bit fresh, I guess, as well. Because if you just do the same thing over and over again, it's going to get very repetitive very quickly, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the whole murder mystery thing was it was very sort of micromanaged. It was very sort of detail orientated,
Yeah.
where I'd established a timeline of the killer and how they interacted with all the different NPCs, how the different NPCs interacted with one another,
Yeah.
just to kind of create this very sort of intricate web. And it was fantastic. It was really good. But I think this time around, I may do it differently.
Yeah.
So I may have the NPCs, I may have the locations, I may have the sort of advantages that the players can achieve interacting, but for the most part, the actual heist itself is going to be mainly me reacting to what the players decide.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, they're going to be able to approach this in a number of ways. I have no idea what they're going to try and do. I just kind of need things in position to be able to react to whatever. So it is a bit of an undertaking. I do have to kind of try account for every eventuality, which is impossible, but you can at least mitigate the times that they throw you off, and so that's kind of where I've been doing. So yeah, I've designed the map of the city that they're going to be in. I'm currently designing the map of the casino, and it's looking pretty good. And now it's just a case of getting them to the city, which is the session that we're going to play in, I don't know, 2 hours.
So yeah, no pressure.
No, none at all.
Oh, no.
It's going to be random encounters.
Oh, I love a random encounter table.
Case in point, Pathfinder 2nd Edition doesn't actually have any inbuilt random encounter tables.
To be honest, I never really use any of the ones for D&D either. I tend to just make my own.
Yeah, and, it's the way 2nd Edition is and the way you kind of build encounters is so simple and straightforward. Yeah. You can literally open the book and kind of go, right, so I need an aberration of this level. There you go.
Yeah.
And it's so easily balanced. It kind of made the random encounter tables, I won't say moot, but not far from it.
Yeah.
At least in my games, anyway.
No, that's fair enough.
So, will we be seeing any pictures of your shaft?
Of the shaft, as soon as it's finished. At the moment, it's half painted. So I'll finish it, and then I'll take some lovely photos.
Fair enough.
And then I've got a few other bits that I've printed out as well. So I've created I've printed out it's like a summoning circle type thing.
Okay.
But the design's really cool. So it's got space for like a ring of fairy lights to go in, and you can actually buy them off of Amazon, the fairy lights that he's designed them for.
Right.
So I'm not going to glue it together so I can take it apart and turn the lights off. But until I get the lights, I don't want to stick it together.
Yeah.
But it basically will obviously light up the and glow, so you'll get like an actual glow coming off of the summoning circle, which would be pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
So we'll get some pictures of that once it's finished as well. But I need to order those LEDs. So yeah, that's made its way onto the table. Actually, it's sitting on the table right now with some. I've got some cultist models sort of standing around it, looking menacing, ready for a band of adventurers to come busting in.
Yeah, cultists tend to look menacing, don't they?
Well, I mean, it's kind of their job. Like it's part of the job description.
You never see like a cultist mini just holding a cup of tea and some biscuits. I mean,
could you imagine like a group of adventurers bust in the door and they're all just like on a lunch break? Like, guys, can you like wait like 30 minutes, please?
Just sit down, get a bourbon, have a cup,
read a magazine,
have a cup of tea.
We've got a stack of magazines there.
Have we
have a flick through?
Have we told you about Cthulhu? I mean, surely, if cultists, in order to increase their ranks, could be a bit more friendly. Let's,
Maybe they are. That's the thing, right? Because, like, keep in mind, you only ever see them as an adventuring party in the middle of a ceremony. You never just see them, like, in the day-to-day life.
Actually, now that you mention that, in, like, the previous arc of my homebrew, they were in a city. It's one of the sort of pre-written cities for the Galarian setting. And it's called Quantium, and part of its charm is that it is really sort of open and welcoming, and it even says like some of the like more evil inclined religions have a presence here as long as they obey the rules of the city, sort of thing. So I just had a random sort of cultist of Rovagog in the same tavern as the adventurers.
Oh, there you go. They're having their AGM.
They walk up and, hey guys, how you doing, sort of thing. So yeah, it was quite fun.
Oh, could you imagine? Oh, actually, I might have to write that. That'll be quite fun. Like you go into like a bookstore or something in a town, and you end up picking up a quest from there to go in and do something, and it turns out that the bookstore is actually just like the cult. That is their like business, and you end up just working for the cult indirectly.
That could work.
And then you have to stop the thing that you started.
Oh, that could 100%.
That would be so funny.
Yeah, that's...
You go and get, like, you go into a bookstore and they ask for a specific book from this other town, and you go and get it for them, and then it turns out that it's, like, some demonic tome.
Yeah, I like that. I think that is a definite plot thread that you can pull out for shits
fun.
and giggles. And from experience, the longer you wait to
reveal that,
the louder the yells get, and it's fantastic.
Run the campaign for like 5 years and then go, and then in walks Dave from that bookstore 18 years ago.
I mean, a friend of ours in common still hates me for something I did in that sort of vein, where someone they trusted turned out to be the big bad evil of the campaign.
Yeah, but you see, no, that's rule one of playing any game with you. If you want us to trust them, they're a bad guy.
But it's not a case...
I learned that early on.
It's not a case of me wanting to trust them. It's a case of you trusting them. And me going,
like, John's making this guy very likable. He's clearly the big bad. I'm going to kill him now.
That's one way of doing it, but I can always shift the goalposts. Oh, no, that guy...
Any character that comes in that's likable, I'm like, I'm just going to kill him.
Yeah, no.
And then suddenly, I'm the big bad.
There you go, boom. That's the twist. That is you've been the big bad all along.
All along. I love it.
Right, so do we have some news this week?
We do. We have. There's actually quite a bit of news that we've had to sift through. But we've settled on a few stories that I think are pretty good. So the first of which is that Valiant Fridays is going to be launched tomorrow.
Exciting times.
So the Kickstarter has reached its culmination. It is finally paid off, and it will be all released tomorrow, Tuesday the 23rd, for those of you listening later. And yeah, they'll have everything up on their website, and they'll have a one-stop shop all on the website with all the FAQs that they've picked up through the Kickstarter and everything like that as well. So it'll all be on the Kobold Press website.
That's fantastic. This could be quite momentous, to be honest. because it does kind of echo back to when Pathfinder was created. You know, very, very different reasons, obviously, which we're not going to bother going into. But,
I'm sure everybody knows.
Yeah, if you're part of this hobby, you know what we're talking about. But
if you're listening to us, you know.
But this could be quite important, because not only has the whole drama with the OGL kind of happened, but also because D&D are currently working on their newest edition.
Not an edition.
Yeah, here we go.
Let's. Well, they're saying it's not an edition. It's just a rework of 5e. They're not calling it a new edition.
Yes. We won, and so did they. Whatever. But there are major changes to D&D coming.
Yes. Right? Yeah, absolutely.
And we all know, in this hobby, changes can be divisive.
No.
I know, right? It caught me by surprise as well. So, you know, realistically speaking, there are some people that are going to be on board with these changes coming to D&D. There are some people that aren't. Mm-hmm. Now, the question kind of for me will be what that split is.
Yeah.
Which, theoretically, it shouldn't be too one-sided, because, you know, as opposed to when D&D brought out 4th edition, and this time around, they are actually getting public feedback.
Yeah.
So theoretically, it shouldn't be that divisive, but we have no genuine idea of what's going to happen. So this Tales of the Valiant could be quite a big release. Yeah,
and I'm looking forward to having a proper little flick through of everything, and maybe give it a spin.
I do have an axe to grind with them, though.
I am shooketh.
Yeah, I know, right? Before they added Tales of the Valiant as the name of the system, and it was still called Black Flag.
Yeah.
They started a blog to kind of keep people up to date with any sort of changes, anything going on with the project, and they called it Black Flag Fridays.
Yeah.
Fucking awesome.
Yep.
So,
which they then changed to Valiant Fridays.
And that annoyed me. Because Black Flag Fridays was a fucking great name.
It was. It really was.
As much as Tales of the Valiant is a good name for a system, just keep Black Flag Fridays.
See, for me though, the name Tales of the Valiant just sounds like a bard telling a story. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, he's sitting in a tavern, he's like, these are the tales of the valiant. And then he's like trying to get a beer out of you for the story.
But even that's a great fucking angle.
Oh yeah, absolutely it is.
Yeah, that would be a great way to start a campaign.
Yeah.
Bard in the tavern, let me tell you about the tales of the valiant. And then it goes through the entire campaign, and then the bard is the big bad.
Yeah, and he's like, and then I killed them all, and now I'm here, getting a beer from you, or I'll kill you too.
Exactly, I now own the world.
Or like my monk in an evil campaign that we were playing, he won the tavern that they were all drinking in, and then he just ended the campaign there. He was like, no, I'm just going to stay here and run my tavern. But he was a 20th level monk that owned a tavern with the drunken fist.
Were you?
Just like, yeah, it's my tavern now.
Were you part of that campaign that a mutual friend of ours ran? And it was in the. It was we tried to infiltrate a drow camp and got captured.
No.
And I was playing. I think I was playing a bard with the sort of archaeologist archetype, essentially Indiana Jones.
Yeah, nice.
And they kind of took us all for questioning and this, that, and the other. And, you know, they did the whole typical thing, oh, you can join us or die. And I went, yeah, I'll join you. I was like, okay, so, roll deception. No, I'm not fucking lying.
No, I'm not lying. I'm joining.
I've been given
Sign me up.
I've been given an option. Either join or die. What do you think I'm going to choose? So then the GM kind of went, all right, fair enough. We're going to go put you back in your cell now. And yeah, fair enough. I'm going to see if I can convince the others. So the rest of the session was me in and out of character, convincing the rest of the players to switch sides.
Oh my god.
And I think I got all except one. So I was there, just sat in this cell, kind of going, these guys have got a point.
So I would have been like, I'll join if they do dental. Like, have they got dental?
That's all I'm asking. We can ask. We can definitely ask.
That's all I'm asking. If they can provide dental, I'll sign up now.
Yeah, no, I mean, have you seen any with bad teeth? I mean, come on.
I've seen one with no teeth.
Well,
But that might have been his problem.
Professionally extracted.
Barbarian just giving a big thumbs up.
Yeah, that was a really fun session.
Oh, mate, yeah, that sounds amazing.
It was great.
Oh, but yeah, no, back to the news.
Back to the news.
It does look very good, and I'm excited to see what Tales of the Valiant brings to the hobby and to the space.
I think I'm going to kickstart it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mainly because I like the sort of philosophy behind it. I like the reason it exists, and I'm happy to support that. I'm not entirely sure I'm going to be playing it anytime soon, just because it's a fantasy D20 system, for which I already have a fantasy D20 system that I enjoy.
No.
So yeah, it's.
You have a fantasy D20 system that you prefer?
I do.
I didn't know
So
that.
it's a little mum and pop system, and it's called Pathfinder 2e.
Oh wow! I've never heard of it.
So yeah, I mean, I will probably, like I say, I will probably kickstart it just to show support, and I will definitely go through the rules. And who knows, maybe I'll read it and kind of go, all right, we need to give this a whirl.
Well, I mean, they've got playtest stuff on their website.
Ooh.
So we could have a little spin of it. We could put it on the list.
We are adding it to the list.
The ever-growing list.
Yeah, we need to actually start working on that fucking list.
We do. We need to start working through that list.
All right, we'll sort something out for the next week or so.
Yes.
Maybe we'll start with Tales of the Valiant, because I still haven't bought one ring. But yeah, it is definitely interesting. So anybody who's interested, anybody who does like 5e the way it is and is kind of concerned about some of the changes, I think it's a good option.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, we may be completely wrong. I've not actually tried it yet, but
we could be swinging and missing hard here.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way they're selling it, so taking it at face value.
There's one that I think you're going to love. Is the second selling point they have for it is it reduces GM burden.
I don't know. Sometimes I like GM burden. Sometimes I do. Because, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like the Cypher system.
Yeah.
GM burden is not very present. All the players make all dice rolls.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's great, but at the same time, it's like, I want to roll a dice.
I want to roll dice!
No, dice, not fair. So, yeah, I mean, yes, it is appreciated to kind of be able to focus on other things, but...
I guess it depends how they're reducing that burden.
Yeah.
Is what's going to be... Because they're talking about just, like, the tools that they have to build, like, your encounters and your exploration encounters, social encounters... So it's just going to have a lot of tools, I think, that make those elements a bit easier to put together than in previous games.
It's going to have to make a splash. It's
Yes.
going to have to make a splash because, it's got its two main competitors are D&D and Pathfinder.
Yeah. I mean, it's coming out swinging at the big boys. It's not like trying to take on any smaller things. It's coming out and it's declaring war.
So yeah, I'm definitely interested. We'll be taking a look, and maybe one day I will give you my less than expert opinion. Alright, so next bit of news is that Paizo have revealed new Apex items for Pathfinder 2nd Edition in the upcoming GM Core release. So Paizo have been kind of releasing little snippets of the upcoming sort of remaster. Some things that they are changing. One of those things that I really got excited about is they're gonna kind of do away with the metallic and chromatic dragons.
Okay.
Instead, the dragons are going to be based on the planes of existence and the magical traditions. So arcane, arcane, divine, primal, and occult.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, some of the artwork that they've put out for like the Mirage Dragon was fucking phenomenal. So yeah, I'm definitely interested in that. But they're also starting to release some sort of snippets of new Apex items. So they have released highlights of Braces of Strength and the Cloak of Swiftness, two highly potent items aimed at amplifying characters' capabilities. Now, here's where I have a slight of an issue, a bit of an issue, because one of the selling points of Pathfinder 2nd Edition before it was released was we're doing away with static item bonuses.
Yep.
You know, so you don't have to invest in the braces of strength or the headband of alluring charisma or anything like that.
Yeah.
And instead we want to give the magical items more personality and flavour, and up until now they've done a fantastic job at that. So this at face value does kind of seem to be a bit of a step backwards to me.
Yeah.
However, that being said, these items are not just a bonus. They do actually have added effects. For example, the Braces of Strength with boar and claw-like details etched onto silver grant a +3 item bonus to athletics checks and a +2 circumstance bonus for lifting heavy objects, escape and force open actions. The true power of the braces is unlocked upon investment, either by enhancing the wearer's strength modifier by 1 or raising it to +4, depending on which would result in a higher score. Furthermore, wearers can activate the brace's unique feature, Bear Hug. This allows the character to grapple and crush an opponent, inflicting bludgeoning damage equal to the wearer's strength modifier. So, yes, they do have a bit of character further than, a +4. However, I'm not entirely sure that's how they're going to be played.
Yeah. Because let's be honest, right? Something like that, Bear Hug, unless you're building some kind of grappler, are you really going to lean into that?
Yeah, I mean, well, you can always argue that if someone's pumping into strength, that they are going to be melee at least. So at least it gives you a few more options.
Yeah, I mean, looking at it as well, I think the real benefit comes from the victim starts to suffocate as long as you keep them restrained.
Yeah.
Because obviously just doing a strength modifier of damage, you're always going to do more damage just hitting them.
Yeah.
Right? But that suffocating them, I guess you would have... It depends on how that mechanic would work, I guess.
I mean, the saving grace is that they're going to be 15,000 gold pieces each, which in the 2nd edition economy is huge.
Yeah.
That must be a 20th level item.
Yeah.
So, it's not something that someone's going to get at 7th level and increase their strength bonus by 4. It is going to be an Apex item. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's just how they're going to be played.
Yeah, I think it's going to have to be one of those wait and see situations. see how the players kind of pick up those items and run with them, and
Yeah, definitely.
and what can be done with them as well. Because that's the thing as well. When you start getting into like item effects and item abilities and stuff like that, that's when you can start doing things like stacking things together, and then you can get a little bit broken.
Again, in second edition, they have mitigated that a lot. I know that would be, quite not only possible, probably the default way of playing Pathfinder first edition.
Yeah.
But in second edition, breaking isn't as easy anymore.
No. But I mean, just looking at those two items that they've released there, right? So the Cloak of Swiftness, which has a unique ability known as Ride the Wind. So once activated, you can fly at a speed of 30 feet for 1 hour. So if you have the Cloak of Swiftness on and you've got the braces on, you can grapple someone, start restraining them, and then fly up with your Cloak of Swiftness. And then even if they do break the grapple, they're falling.
I mean, without having to go into the minutiae of the rules, that's not as easy as you would think. In second edition, they have kind of accounted for a lot of things that you wouldn't initially suspect. So, yeah, it wouldn't be as easy as you would think. So...
Yeah, fair enough.
I mean, obviously you've got the rule of cool element, which, if someone were to do that, I may probably allow it. Because it's fun.
Yeah.
But
it's like, choose, suffocate or fall.
Yeah, and then break out and, so it is, it isn't as easy as that, so...
Yeah.
But we'll have to see. We'll just have to see when... Because obviously buying those books.
No.
Already got the special editions ordered. Well, just to clarify, the pre-orders aren't out yet, but I've given my local gaming store a very sturdy heads up.
He's pre-ordered his pre-order.
Yeah, essentially. I've kind of gone, when that comes out, put me down. Just put me down. Because the special editions, fuck, they're pretty.
Yeah. Oh, right. Well, speaking of new content for gaming, D&D players have been a little bit torn on the playtest stuff for Druid and Wildshape.
Okay.
So speaking of people not liking change...
Yeah.
This is a case of people either loving or hating the change. Nobody was in the middle on this. Everyone has seemed to reacted in a way of, no, fuck that, get it away from my gaming system. Or, oh my god, that's amazing, put it in my gaming system. There's nobody going, interesting. So, basically, what's happened is they have put out a bunch of playtest stuff, as we've covered in previous episodes. And in the Druid playtest, they've changed the way that Wildshape works. So, previously... with Wildshape, at different levels, you could shape into different CR creatures. They had to be beasts, and they had to be in the monster manual. Or in official monster manual books, right? So you couldn't just do something that you found on some website somewhere that's a CR half, but it's actually should be like a CR 20 million. So that was kind of their way of balancing it. However, in the playtest, they went, no. And what they've done is they've basically said that instead of having this laundry list of things that you could turn into, they've given you set stat blocks, and those stat blocks have different effects.
Okay.
So they've really, really simplified it, and instead of having because I mean if you look at the list, right, for beasts that you can wild shape into. Especially as a Circle of the Moon Druid in 5e, it's a huge list of creatures. It's basically any beast up to CL6, right? As long as it's a beast.
Right.
You can even do elementals as well. Like it's insane the amount of things that you can shift into, and the only restrictor that was ever put on it is you have to have seen it before.
Okay.
Now, as obviously you level up, you're going to see a lot more creatures. You're going to see a lot of things, and you can wild shape into them pretty easily. But I kind of fall in the camp of I like the simplification of these are what you can turn into, these are the stat blocks. You can still flavor them however you want, right? So if you've got a stat block that like is a really tanky like shape that you've wild shaped into, you could flavor that to be a bear or a rhino or whatever you want it to appear as. But these are your stat blocks and these are your abilities, and it's actually based on your stat block rather than. So it modifies your stat block rather than just giving you a new stat block.
Okay.
Which I kind of like, because it's still you then. It's not a rhino or a bear. It's you as a bear or you as a rhino.
Yeah.
So it's tweaking your stat block to fit that, and I like that. But they've said that everything in the playtest obviously is not final, and it is for this very reason, to get people discussing. And then, yeah, we will have to see where they land on it, though, because I personally fall on the side of I like that change. But obviously, about half of the people have gone, no, fuck that change.
I'm inclined to agree with you.
Yeah.
And I've never played a druid. Never really been interested. It's never something that's become a concept of mine. But I have had druids at my table, and I've had to kind of help them a tiny bit when it came to what can I transform into.
Yeah.
And again, this is Pathfinder, this isn't 5e, but I think it's safe to say that it had the same problem.
Yeah.
Of there was just so much fucking choice.
Too much choice, man.
Yeah.
Like, I honestly would spend... I played a druid, and I would spend between sessions, if I knew a combat was coming up, I would spend the entire week or 2 weeks between the sessions trying to figure out what I was going to wild shape into for that combat.
Yeah, it just... The bookkeeping involved was ridiculous. Yeah. And you had a stat block for a leopard, and you had a stat block for a tiger.
Yep. Yeah, you had to change it. The stat block was different for everything you could wild shape into. Yeah.
Which, to be honest, the differences mechanically between them were negligible. Maybe one of them was a bit faster. And it was the same, like there was...
Or one could claw twice and bite once, the other one could bite twice and claw once.
It was absolutely fucking ridiculous. So if they've developed a system where it's like, okay, so we've got felines, we've got canines, we've got aviary, we just kind of divide it into sort of subgroups.
Yeah.
Then, definitely.
Yeah, and each of those kind of little groups has its own kind of modifications to your stat block. So, like, let's say you go feline, for example, right? It's going to maybe give you a bit more movement speed. Your agility score goes up by a little bit, but your strength score drops a little bit. And rather than just going like, this is your stat block, it just tweaks your current stat block. And I think that's going to be better.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to say that that's how it works in 2nd edition, but I've never had to deal with a 2nd edition druid, to be honest, so...
Challenge accepted.
I'm just having a quick look now. Wild shape. Because I do believe, it does kind of make sense that these systems do borrow ideas from each other.
Of course they do. Absolutely they do.
So, wild shape in 2nd edition, you infuse yourself with primal essence and transform yourself into another form. You can polymorph into any form listed in this case, pest form, which lasts 10 minutes. All of the wild shape forms last 1 minute. You can add more forms to your wild shape list with druid feats. So, I need to find at 2nd level. So yeah, it is similar. Because the way they've done it in 2nd edition is that you gain the following statistics and abilities regardless of which battle form you choose. your AC goes up, you get temporary hit points, you get low light vision, imprecise and an imprecise sense, so that could be smell, it could be tremor sense, whatever. One or more unarmed melee attacks specific to the battle form you choose. And then you also gain specific abilities based on the type of animal. So you get...
So that looks exactly like what they've done here with the playtest for Druid. It's exactly the same sort of thing.
But it makes so much fucking sense.
It really does. Because like even looking at the Pathfinder ones, right? So you can change into... They've broken down to like 8 bear, bull, canine, cat, deer, frog, shark, snake. But you can flavour those however you want, right? So, like, if you're turning into a bear, you can choose the kind of bear you are. You can choose your, anything like that. Like, you don't have to just be bog standard brown bear. Like,
But I mean,
and I think that's how it should be.
Yeah, but for example, say someone wants to wild shape into a dolphin. You just get the shark.
You just hit the shark
and just take away the bite damage and do like a bludgeoning damage for
change the bludgeoning instead of piercing. And obviously remove the breathe underwater because they need air.
But it just makes it a lot more malleable.
Slight tweaks.
And I can kind of predict what the argument is. It's like, we've been, we've had our choices taken away.
It's enough.
Yeah, we've had our choices taken away. When, if you think about it, the way it's not that they've reduced your choices; they've just made your choices modular.
Yes.
So if you were to
even then, I think if anything, it's given you more choice, because the problem that you have, right, is you have like 50,000 things that you can wild shape into, right, because you could do any beast from the monster manual under certain CRs, right, but some of them are just shit and you wouldn't bother.
Yeah.
Like some you just never used.
Yeah.
So you would at certain things, like you would always use this one or that one. Or like at the level that I was playing at, I would always turn into it was a dinosaur. I can't remember for the life of me which dinosaur it was now. But I would always turn into the dinosaur because it was the best thing at my level. So I didn't need the other 52 choices I had because they were pointless.
Yeah. And at the very best, circumstantial.
Yeah. Whereas this is literally you can turn into anything because they're all viable, and you flavor it however you wanted it to be. So like if you wanted to, instead of being a bear, you wanted to be a rhino, you could still do the bear stat block and everything that the bear does, just change the claw attack for a horn attack, and it does piercing damage instead of slashing damage. That's it. Now you're a rhino. Like, you can still make tweaks to it. It's not, like every single one of these games always says, the rules are there, but you don't have to stick to them by the letter.
No.
And I've just triggered every single rules lawyer in the world.
Oh, yeah. We are going to get emails.
Myself included.
We're just going to get so many emails.
For the record, I am also a rules lawyer. But there's a time and a place.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And, one thing about these systems kind of coming out in intervals is that, let's just say, and I'm not saying that this is the case, that Wizards have taken inspiration from Pathfinder 2nd Edition. They can then improve on that. They can build upon that.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because then everyone's getting a better experience.
Yeah.
So yeah, I personally think it's going to be good, and I'm excited to see whether they keep it or whether they go back to what it was.
Yeah, definitely. And like you say, that we've probably triggered a whole bunch of people with this, but to be honest,
absolutely we have.
If you disagree with us, you're wrong. So, moving on.
Oh, you really want those emails, don't you?
I do. It's a very lonely inbox.
Oh.
All right, so moving on.
Yes, I believe you have one more bit of exciting, titillating news for us.
It is exciting to a certain degree. However, unfortunately, I do not have the knowledge enough to be able to dissect it properly. But the second draft of the Orc license
Yes.
is ready for public comment. For those of you who have lived under a literal rock for the past 6 months,
Welcome, first of all.
yeah, welcome. Great to have you on board.
Second of all,
when the whole debacle with the OGL kind of transpired, Paizo's response was, okay, so we're going to do our own license and we're going to get other people, other publishers involved. And, you know, it's going to be irrevocable and using all these words that...
It was that classic, I'm going to make my own license with blackjack and hookers.
Yeah, that was a meme that was circulating at the time, and it is, you know, quite appropriate.
It's very true. It's very true.
So this is now the second time the Orc license has come out for public comment. And it incorporates feedback and suggestions from hundreds of participating publishers on the Orc license Discord community. This second draft represents a significant step forward in the development process. The team has focused on enhancing the clarity of key terms and definitions, expanding the official frequently asked questions document, and introducing various quality of life improvements across the board. That is where my knowledge kind of ends, because I do not really know enough about about licensing issues and licensing laws in order to actually comment and kind of go, yes, I agree with it. However, I do have faith that the community will provide, and they will definitely work together to create the best license possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we are living in a momentous moment. Really, that was a redundant phrase right there. A momentous time in the tabletop role playing scene.
I wasn't going to say anything, but
I can self-correct.
But no, you're right.
There is a shift happening where, for a lot of systems, the OGL was kind of the underlying go-to. And obviously, anything owned by one particular company, to a certain degree, is corruptible. So, having this new license coming in, which isn't going to be owned by any company, is definitely a step in the right direction, I think. And it's not one of these things that it has to be one or the other. Companies can go ahead and build their own license if they want. But it is a definite interesting time to be part of this community.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, I'm going to be excited to see what everybody has to say on it. And I believe that they are hoping to get the final version out for the end of the month, if I've read that correctly.
That is correct, yeah.
So yeah, we might be able to tell you all about that next time.
Yes, hopefully we can go a bit more in depth. And I've already seen a few systems that have kind of brought out releases going, we are going to be adopting the Orc license.
Yeah.
So it's a fascinating time.
Yeah, no, it is. And, you know, it's like you say, it is unprecedented times. It's uncharted waters. And, it hopefully will lead to good things all round. But it's, we'll have to stay tuned, as will you, all out there, hopefully. Stay tuned for everything that is to come from it.
Yeah, I completely agree. So, yeah, so that's it for the news.
Yes.
Which, you know, some quite interesting topics. So I wanted to present you with a topic, Justin.
Fire away.
This topic has kind of cropped up, and it keeps on cropping up across the various communities that haven't kicked me out yet.
Give them time. Give them time.
And I wanted to get your opinion on what you thought on professional GMing.
Professional GMing.
Yeah. Because that's becoming...
I'm going to need some more information on that.
Yeah, it's becoming quite a common thing. And it does seem to be an industry that is growing. Where somebody, for the most part online, but it probably happens face to face as well.
Yeah.
Where a GM will charge for their services.
Okay. I can see the appeal. If, for example, let's say nobody in your friend group is comfortable running, or perhaps the one person who is comfortable running is just horrifically burnt out, and nobody is comfortable running, it's a solution to getting a game up and running. I personally don't see a downside to it.
Me neither. I don't necessarily see a downside. However, it does create a lot of uproar. Once again, we see how this community is divisive. And
I don't believe you.
And, a lot of the sort of arguments against it are a weird sort of moral stance, which I find quite perplexing.
Yeah, I'm not really sure you can take the moral high ground on somebody offering services and somebody else buying.
Yeah, that's it. But a lot of people try it. It's like, how can you charge for something that should be free and this, that, and the other, and it's just a really weird discussion.
Is it? The thing is, right? This is my theory on that, right? Is it free though?
No.
Is it ever truly free? Because how many times, right, have we bought a little gift for our DM, or do we buy them some snacks before the session, or maybe not take their share when we order a takeaway? Like, it's still paid for in a way. We're not just like... nobody's DMing without some kind of, not reward, that's the wrong choice of words, but there's always some kind of exchange happening, whether it's just the stories themselves, right?
Yeah.
Nobody's DMing because it's good for their health. They're DMing because they enjoy it, or because there's no other fucking choice.
I think it's the monetary value that people kind of question. And don't get me wrong, I've seen some of their prices. And some of these people go ahead and charge something like $25 a session.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Dude, I thought you were going to say like fucking like $250 a session or something. $25 a session. Think about that, right? How long is your average tabletop gaming session?
Yeah.
Anywhere between 1 and 4 hours?
Yeah.
So if they're going for like 4 hours and they're charging you $25 a session, then they're making just over $5 an hour.
Yeah. To be honest, it's something that I have actually considered. I have considered doing it. My struggle with it, and this is from my own perspective, as confident as I am with my GMing, I do believe I can create a positive experience for players. But the moment that you put a price tag on it, that's when player
expectations are a lot higher.
Player expectations become more demanding.
Yeah.
Whereas, now if my GM style does not meet a player's expectations, it's a case of, okay, maybe we should kind of re-examine whether this game is for you or not.
Yeah.
But the moment I'm charging somebody, it's like, yeah, well, I want my money back. It's like, well, you can't have it back because service is rendered.
Yeah, I mean, I think as well that's going to come down to it's the same as any service industry, really. Is you pay for a service. Like if you're going to get a massage, just for example, right? Or any kind of physio treatment. Not physio treatment because that's normally medical, but yeah, we'll stick with like a sports massage, right? For you athletes out there. You're paying somebody to essentially do something that you could quite easily get from a family member for free. But what you're paying them because they're trained to do it. They're meant to be good at it. And they're probably going to be better than the person that you know that can do it for you, right?
Yeah.
Same thing here. You're paying a DM to do it for you because they do it a lot, right? They're probably really good at it. But you're going to read the reviews like you would do with any other service that you purchase, right? I personally think that it shouldn't be frowned upon. If it's not for you, don't buy it.
And that advice can kind of carry over to a lot of the things that people bitch about in this hobby.
Absolutely. If you don't like it, don't pay for it.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
But yeah, it's just a weird one, and it does kind of, if you were to read some of these threads in which this is discussed, it does go on forever. And yeah, it does boil down. It's supply and demand, and
exactly. I mean,
if you've got a demand
that's the thing
for something,
as well. Like,
somebody's going to go ahead and supply that.
Also, if you look at like how many people are also getting into this hobby now, right? There are going to be quite a few of them that have a lot of money and not a lot of time, right? If you're in getting into a hobby like this, which is let's be honest, it's a very time-consuming hobby, especially for DMing, right? With all the work you've got to do between sessions and all the prep and that sort of thing. If you just don't have the time for that, what are you just supposed to not play D&D? No, bullshit.
Yeah, I think we completely agree that it is, if there's a market for something, then someone is going to put something on there for sale.
Absolutely.
And, if it's not for you, then that's absolutely fine. Just, carry on. And what I do kind of flinch at slightly is a lot of these paid GMs, they try and sell people on the idea that because it is being paid for, it is going to be of a better quality, which that's a fallacy. That is 100%
absolutely.
a fallacy. Don't get me wrong, it's not knocking any GMs if the chances are they're very good at what they do, but someone doing it for free can be just as fucking good.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It all depends on the table you find. It all depends on the GM you find. Depends on, and also
it depends on what you want to get out of it as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you want a game where it's very sort of roleplay heavy and less mechanic, then there are ways to find that. I mean, you can go on Warhorn every single day and find a game.
Yeah.
For I think Warhorn caters for most systems. Some of them are paid, some of them are not. And there's the other one, Start Playing. And I think Start Playing actually has a review system.
Yeah. That's really what you want. But I also think as well, like, nothing just beats getting a couple of friends sitting around a table and rolling some dice.
No, I mean, that is obviously something that...
It's the dream.
It is. I mean, it became my main social activity.
Yeah.
Still is my main social activity.
Yeah.
And, I enjoy it. I mean, I GM for my friends.
Yeah.
And, so far, the odd bad review.
Well, I will sing your praises.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
You never killed any of my characters that I can recall.
Did I not?
I don't think so.
We'll have to look in. We'll have to look into that.
I'm just trying. Well, no, you only really DM'd for me once,
Yeah,
which was Skulls and Shackles.
Yeah, that is a fair point. But you also, you also did play.
Did I die?
You jumped into Abomination Vaults for a session, and then disappeared off the face of the earth.
Yeah, I got busy. I got real busy.
Yeah, I know.
Life, man, it's great. Yeah. Yeah, and that character's still alive and well and gets punched in the face.
He does. He gets punched in the face every time they return to the tavern.
Yeah.
That is going to be your legacy.
That's fine. I'm happy with that.
It's better than no legacy whatsoever.
Exactly.
All right, so shall we go to Couch's Corner?
Oh, I think we shall.
All right, let me just bring up the notes. All right, so Couch, once again, thank you ever so much for sending in this question. It's a good one. I do like this one. I think you'll like it too. So, Couch this week asks, do you think that in any tabletop role-playing game that gender affects the experience? To prefix this, it's not the person who is playing the game, but the character in the game. Would you find role-playing a character of the opposite or any other gender to be something that would make the experience less or more interesting? Taking into account the way that NPCs would react and other PCs in reaction to the character that is being played.
That is a very good question.
It is.
I like it. So it actually is something that I've been thinking about quite a lot recently with the new character that I've built. Because obviously, as we have discussed in previous episodes, I have built a changeling warlock. And changelings can change everything about their appearance, including their gender. Mm-hmm. So it is something that I've been thinking about and how I can use that to my character's advantage in certain situations and things like that, right? And I think it definitely does. It can change the experience if you lean into it. I mean, I've played characters of both my gender and of other genders. I've done both. And I definitely find it very interesting to play a gender that isn't mine. Because it kind of, you have to think of things differently. Because obviously the not the rules, that's the wrong word, but the way that social interactions happen for other genders is different, right? And that is the same in the real world and in a fantasy world. The way that people interact is different. It always will be. And I think, it definitely lends something to the experience to have to think about how you're interacting with things compared to how you would normally interact with things.
Okay. I think I'm going to have to disagree. For me, the answer is simple. At least from my perspective, the answer is simple in that no, it doesn't affect the experience at all. When I create a character, I normally build from a concept. Normally that concept is inspired by some sort of pop culture.
Yeah.
So if that concept is, if the concept that I'm getting inspiration from is female, for example, then that is what my character is going to be. It doesn't affect the way I play the game. It doesn't affect the way that any GMs I've played with have interacted with me. And it is, for me, it just becomes a letter at the top of my character sheet.
So you don't find that maybe playing a female bard changes the way that you would interact in a social situation to if it was a male bard?
No, I don't believe it does.
See, for me, it would, just because of the way, like, so. Okay, maybe Bard was the wrong choice because let's be honest, Bards are just the general meme is that they're just all sluts. So terrible choice, really. But like something like I don't know. It's just maybe I'm not phrasing it right, but for me, the way that social interactions take place would be slightly different. And I think it's just because of like I don't know. There's certain things that I wouldn't necessarily take into account. Like for example, if I'm talking to the bartender, right, in a tavern, and I'm a male warlock, I'm not gonna try and seduce him, right? But if I'm playing a female warlock, I might. It's those kind of it changes your options a little bit, having that different gender to play from. I feel.
Again, that's not been my experience, because except for when we kind of first started in Scott's game, and it was I'm playing a bard, I've got charisma through the fucking roof, I'm gonna try to seduce everything that fucking moves. But you know, obviously,
we've all been there.
What, seduced by my bard?
No, I had played that high charisma character that's like, well, I'm just gonna seduce every motherfucker that walks through that door. We've all played that character.
But I think where I've kind of got more, where I've kind of my experience playing and my experience GMing has kind of increased over the years. That is no longer an option for me. I don't use that as a narrative device. You know, if I'm regardless of whether I'm male, female, if I'm speaking to an NPC and I do want to sway them, it's going to be diplomacy. So I kind of play them the exact same way.
So you might be missing a trick there, because it could be that maybe the blacksmith quite likes your character, and you're not taking advantage of that.
I think perhaps I think the sort of change in experience has to come from the player.
Yeah.
I don't think that it should really be the GM sort of accounting for it. I mean, I certainly wouldn't in any way.
I think there does have to be an element from both, though, because likewise, right? Let's say I'm playing, male bard, and I'm trying to flirt my way out of trouble with the guard captain. If he's as straight as an arrow, that's not going to fucking work, no matter how well I roll. If you get what I'm saying there.
I get what you're saying. I think it probably boils down that I can't seduce for shit.
Yeah.
So my go-to is always the diplomatic response. Is always I'm going to apply to this person's logic.
But even that then, right, is if so essentially what you've done then is you've actually not, you've played a female or a male character, you've not actually played them as a female or male or other character. You've played them all genderless, essentially.
Yeah.
So I would then argue that it hasn't affected your experience because you haven't tried.
Yeah, but there's also the counter argument that I've never played in a game where it has been relevant.
Yeah.
You know, none of the GMs I've ever had have kind of gone, okay, this is a very sort of patriarchal society sort of thing.
Yeah.
That has never been presented to me. I know there are GMs that would. I know that there are systems in the darker days of tabletop role-playing games where gender did actually have a mechanical effect, and completely fucking wrong. But beside the point.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But I've never encountered it. I've never had that situation. It's, okay, so what does your character do? Okay, well, I go up and I speak to this person. This is what I say. But at no point have I ever gone, I go up and I bat my eyelids and all this. Because I don't know, I just don't find it necessary.
I see. I have been in games where that's happened, where like the really, like, you know, the feminine bard has gone up and done exactly that, and they flirted their way out of it. And then when the male bards tried to do the same thing, he said, "Well, I can do that too," and he rolled better, but the person that he was rolling against was straight, so he just wasn't interested. And that kind of made a funny moment, because that bard went up thinking, "Well, I can do that as well," and then just got instantly rejected. Because he didn't take into account that this guy might not be interested in him.
Yeah, I think it is a tough one. I think we both have very different experiences.
Yes.
And yeah, I don't think that we are going to kind of arrive at a massive middle ground. So I think it's a definite no from me.
I see it. It's a definite yes for me.
So yeah, Couch, sorry, this one is going to have to go unanswered. You know, but if anybody wants to actually write in and give us their opinion, more than welcome to.
Feel free.
You know, as long as it's telling me I'm right and that Justin's wrong.
And even if you do send an email saying that I'm right and John's wrong, I won't know about them because you won't tell me.
No, because I'm the one who controls the mailbox.
Yep. Which is why I don't know the questions beforehand.
Yeah.
I find out when you guys do.
You guys,
well, no,
you
like
guys thought,
a little bit beforehand.
You guys thought this was a democracy? You were very wrong.
Horrifically wrong.
Horrifically wrong. But that is a great question, and it is definitely one to ponder. Yes. And it will probably make me kind of rethink things the next time I come up with a concept and that concept happens to be of a particular gender. But I don't think it's going to change the way I play.
Yep, that's fair.
But yeah, so thank you ever so much, Couch, for sending that in.
As always.
You know, he's always trying to get us to fight.
He is. I'm fairly certain that's his goal.
Which is fair enough.
He's trying to put in a question that makes this end.
He's probably there going, fuck's sake, another week, another fucking question. See if this one gets him.
He's like, the sooner I get them to stop talking, the sooner that I don't have to put in questions anymore.
I've got to start. The sooner I can stop listening to this bullshit. Well, speaking of listening to this bullshit, I just want to thank everyone for taking time out of their valuable days to kind of take their time to listen to us, whether that's via Apple Podcasts, whether it's via Spotify. If you like what you hear, just please like, review, and that's how we're going to grow. That's how we're going to reach more people.
Yes.
Justin, do you want to tell people where they can find you on the interwebs?
Yes. So I am pretty much everywhere now as Justin Accurate TV. So you can find me over on Twitch and on Instagram and on Twitter under those handles. So Justin Accurate TV is where you can find me.
Okay. And from me, you can find me pretty much on most social media sites at Natural Juan. We also now have a Facebook group and a Facebook page, so don't hesitate to search for Too Legit to Crit on Facebook. Like, join, you know, we try make things slightly interesting. We post bullshit sometimes. But, you know, it's all about...
I remade Facebook just to post stuff on.
You did. It was a huge sacrifice on your part.
It was. I've been off Facebook for almost a year.
I know. And you made a triumphant return.
I won't get that far.
So, once again, thank you to Couch for that question. Thank you to everyone listening. And thank you to you, Justin, for spending some time with me.
No, likewise. You know, everyone out there, you guys are amazing, and we just appreciate that you guys are even listening. And it's not just us talking to each other for the sake of it. Which, I mean, it wouldn't be a problem anyway, because we would have been doing it anyway. So it's nice just to have other people listening in.
Yeah, those episodes would be far longer.
Oh, yeah, they would. Absolutely, they would. Like, 8 hours of like, no, because, right?
Then we would probably fight.
Oh, absolutely.
So, yeah, that's about it from us. So, once again, ladies and gentlemen, tune in next week where we'll have more bullshit to talk about.
Yep.
All right, thank you very much, everyone, and good night.
See you later, guys.